Yes. Hey. Hey.
How you doing? You okay?
Yes. Yes. We did it.
We got there. We got there, finally.
We got it. Yes. Welcome.
Thank you.
Everyone. So, this is Hot Take Tuesday Live on a Wednesday. That is the whole thing. So, I am here with my lovely guest, Tall Man Reviews 87, and we're going to be discussing Gladiator II. Now, real quick, I want to give it a chance for you to kind of introduce yourself and let us know what you're about.
Okay, then, yeah. Tall Man Reviews. Real name's Lee, for the purpose of conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah, I started doing this a little while back just to sort of try and get into a bit of writing, really, to be fair. I've always loved TV and films, and it's been a big sort of like ongoing passion of mine. And I figured, you know what? Get stuck in, start doing some reviews and let people know what I really think, especially with the way the movie industry's been going the last, I don't know, 8 to 10 years. I've kind of felt compelled to do it, really, to be fair. But yeah, so that's pretty much my story.
Awesome. Okay, and let us know where you are located, unless you have one.
In the UK, Essex.
Hey.
Don't judge.
No, none. And I am in sunny South Florida, over here in the state.
Amazing. Not better than here. It's freezing here right now.
Oh.
Really cold, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm. Yeah, it's probably beach weather over here, if I'm being honest. But to be fair, in the summer, oh, the air is trying to choke the life out of you. That's how much humidity we have. Yeah, listen.
See, we can only dream of that here. So.
Oh, okay. I will be visiting. I want to visit the UK. I've never been. So.
Really? Well, you're not missing much. Don't worry.
I'll look for you when I come. All right. So, for those that don't know, my name is Lisa. I Take Tuesday Live. I'm a writer, a producer, a director, and this is my show in which I talk with my guests about movies, and we just break it down. There will be spoilers, but I feel like Gladiator II is something that everyone is. If you're going to see it, you probably have seen it by now. But feel free. Anyone who wants to come in and have comments, questions, we'll be answering them as we have our own discussions. And you can catch my show, Zombie Chronicles, on Tubi right now, or Amazon Prime. All right. Now, let's get down to business.
Let's do this.
So, when I drop a hot take, it's more of a gimmick. I don't always have a hot take. It's just more of a gimmick, like something fun that I can pull from the movie. So, as I was watching Gladiator, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Denzel really, he really made this movie. He really made this story happen. Like, he really put everything in place. And I was like, yeah, he's the real MVP.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think out of all performances in this movie, obviously Denzel stands out, like head and shoulders above the rest. But even saying that, truthfully, I don't think it's his best performance.
No.
I still think he probably could have done better. But at the same time, he was definitely better than the majority of people in this movie.
And you know what? He was having fun. You could tell that he was having fun. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Definitely watching him, like, he didn't even try to do an accent. He just went straight in with that New York accent and was just like, I'm just going to do this, and this is what it's going to be. And you know what? It worked. It worked for him, and it did work for the movie, I suppose, to an extent. But yeah, no, I think he steals every scene he's in. He's a captivating watch. Like, whenever you see him on screen in general, like, he holds your attention. So I think going into this movie, I kind of thought, I only really wanted to see it because he was in it, if I'm honest. And I just felt that he just embodies the character whenever he plays them, and he is a captivating watch. But I will say, off the back of that, he made Paul Mescal look terrible, in my opinion.
So Okay, so it's funny. First of all, hi, this girl loves horror. I see you. Um, first off, no matter what role Denzel plays, just know his character is from New York.
Oh
So
yeah,
he's
without a chat. And unfortunately, apart from that film he did where he played a British person years ago, he was younger. Do not the name
Hamlet.
of the movie,
Hamlet.
but I can't remember. No. Years and years ago, when he was quite young, he did a film. He played a British guy, and it was the worst accent I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, well now I have
But
to see it.
aside from that, I'll try and find it as we're chatting. But yeah, yeah, like you say, Denzel, New York, compelling, and did the same in this movie, didn't he? Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. He will always be from New York, and he will always be good. It doesn't matter.
Oh
It doesn't
yeah.
matter. Um, so let me. I kind of get a feel already how you feel, but let me get your general thoughts overall before we dive deep about the
Yep.
film. How do you feel about Gladiator 2?
Right. Well, how do I feel? Oh, that's a question. I suppose the word that comes to mind when I think of Gladiator 2 is unnecessary. If I'm honest, that's the one word that comes to me. When I first heard the film was being made,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, why are we making a sequel? I mean, I've seen, since watching the movie, I've seen a lot of reviews. Excuse me, I've seen a lot of people talking about the movie and people enjoying it for one reason or another,
Yeah.
which is fun. You know, I had no qualms with people enjoying the
Mm-hmm.
movie. But personally, I couldn't quite figure out why Ridley Scott thought, do you know what? We need a sequel to Gladiator, the movie that, you know, got nominated for so many Oscars, won a few of them, stands the test of time as an absolute classic of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that, you know, and presumably, well, not presumably, most of the time, when a sequel was announced to most things, I won't say all of them because I know there's some examples to the rule,
Mm-hmm.
exempt to the rule. But normally you're kind of thinking, can you expand upon the first movie? Can you improve upon the first movie?
Yes.
And like I say, seeing Denzel in it, I thought, oh, hold on, we could be in for something good here.
You know, something good, yes.
Until I saw it. And unfortunately, I just came away thinking this was completely unnecessary. I feel like it tarnished the legacy of the first movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my overall feeling was just why? I don't quite get it. I mean, I can't even say it's like a cash grab, you know?
Well,
Because
that's
yeah.
so. I'm going to tell you. You kind of leaned into it, but I'm going to tell you why they made this movie. Money. Okay, so okay, so okay. To be fair, Lee. To be fair.
Yeah.
There are so many sequels and reboots and remakes.
Just the last
Now,
couple of years.
there's always been, but the ratio, I believe, and I'm making these numbers, the ratio, I believe, in years past has been 70% original, 30% remake and sequels, which was I feel was a good ratio, a fair ratio.
To be fair,
And it seems that's literally switched. 30% original, 70% sequel and reboots. Like it is so ridiculous that like I don't know if you know, but I do a real movie lovers like show. Every Friday basically where I drop on a YouTube where I talk about couples of movie news, some current events, some tech news, and I literally have a section called Reboot Remake News of the Week. And I've been doing this for a couple months, and I haven't run out of a reboot news yet. Every week.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest.
Whether it's something that was announced or something that's about to come out, I'm like, oh, I was worried that I would run out. Not a problem right now. And a part of this to give the studios a little, I'm talking about a little wiggle room, little baby wiggle room, is because they've lost that foundation of DVD sales.
Yeah.
Home video sales,
100%,
because if a movie didn't do too well in the theaters, they didn't panic as much because they knew they could make it up on the back end with DVD sales.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, movies that became cult classics that we love actually bombed in the movie theaters and became classics on DVDs over time because there's not that security.
That competition's not there anymore, is it?
Yeah.
The transition between the big screen and DVD.
Yeah. They don't want to. They don't want to even chance. They don't even want to chance.
Yeah.
You know.
This is the thing. You're right. You're 100% right. But I think a lot of that goes to streaming. I think streaming is, you know, without getting into a broader discussion about it, I feel like streaming is the one that has totally killed it. You know, straight to streaming or in the theaters for 2 weeks, then straight to streaming. It's why the movie industry is not taking money. They're not taking the risks on the movies. I mean, like I said this a little while ago, actually, I said if you go back to like the 90s, probably mid to late 90s, early noughties, you had a lot of movies that were sort of like small budget. You know, probably $20 million to make a movie. And it was making 100 million off the back of it, you know, and you don't get that anymore. I mean, like, I'm looking right now at like the budget. I think the budget for Gladiator II was between 210 and 300 million.
Okay.
And that's without advertising.
We're going to be here all day talking about this. Let me tell you.
Yeah, sorry.
No. That's not a dig. That's me saying, yeah, like I could talk about it all day because my other thing is I'm an 80s baby.
Yeah,
so so I come from, you know, 95% practical effects, film on location, 5% visual effects. And then again, they've teetered to the point where it's like even Marvel movies, it's like most movies is done in front of a green screen and it just doesn't, there's nothing to connect you. Like even if it's visually stunning. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right, because I think that's quite the disconnect between Gladiator 1 and Gladiator 2.
Yes.
With Gladiator 2, I mean, don't get me wrong, I will say, as a positive for the movie, I think you've got a lot of, which Ridley Scott does well, is sort of like setting up a shot, and he knows what he shot. He ends up with these big sweeping shots across with the Colosseum. It all looks phenomenal. But then you move into the territory of what appears to be some form of mutated ape, baboon thing, fighting in the Colosseum, which I didn't like. I thought it looked fake, if I'm honest. For me personally, I thought it looked fake. I don't think it looked good at all. And then we moved into, and I know that I've looked this up before, but I know that in the Colosseum, I do believe that they did fill it with water, but I only believe it was filled up to, like, they used to reenact naval battles, I believe, or something along those lines. And they would have crocodiles, which were sort of native to the region, in the Colosseum. Not sharks.
I would have preferred crocodiles over sharks, but again, I'm also in South Florida. Alligators are kind of our thing.
Of course, makes so much more sense. But yeah, I think when you see it like that and you see the sharks in there, I mean, at that point I thought, okay, this is where we're going. Okay, fine. That's what you want to do.
That's what you want to do.
I'm not even asking how you get the sharks in there, but okay, if that's what you want to do. But I think a lot of people have said the same thing. They've said, like, you know, turn your brain off and go watch it. And you know what? Some films that works for, and I'll gladly hold my hands up and say there's some films, like I watched The Beekeeper a little while ago with Jason Statham.
Yeah, you know. High five.
Yeah, totally. Because I turned my brain off and I had a good time watching that one. It's fine. But I think when you have a name like Gladiator II, and you're doing a direct sequel to such an iconic movie, I think batshit crazy stuff like that needs to be left out, and you need to actually realise what you're doing. If I'm honest, in my opinion, anyway, you know, for what that's worth. But yeah, so that's
So I'm gonna say this. I enjoyed the movie, but I have a lot of issues with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get that completely. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I didn't really enjoy the movie, if I'm honest. But you know, that's fair play. That's understandable.
Denzel was a big part of why I enjoyed the movie. I'm, you know, if I just throwing it out there. And I feel like when you have a really good villain, you have to be careful because the villain can outshine the hero. It has to be kind of like, you know, a tit for tat type of thing. Because you look at Gladiator I, you had Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix, top of their games. I mean, they're going head to head. Like each one of them was like a juggernaut in their scene. They really like everything they said, did, the way they talked had weight to it. And we had a few villains actually, technically in the movie, and I feel like I almost feel like they spread things too thin. Like, seeing how Denzel's character moved, his treachery, how he did all that, like, I felt like, I feel like we could have dived more into that and kind of like, you know, watch that rise and that reveal of like, oh, I'm doing this also because your dad was, you know, did this to me. It didn't hit like they wanted it to. It didn't.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, 100%. I think what this one did badly compared to the first one, like you said, Joaquin Phoenix and Russell Crowe, what you had was their characters were built from the beginning. Yeah. They were. We knew who Joaquin Phoenix's Commodus was. You know, we saw him with his father of Caesar, and then how he killed him, and then how he's rise to it, and we as an audience go along with that, so we already despise the guy. Yeah. Then you've got Maximus, you know, who we understand as a character, we understand as a man, and then we get, you know, what happens. You know, obviously the events of the first Gladiator, you know, what with Commodus having his wife and son innocents murdered, which then puts us on his side of empathy. Whereas with this one, I felt like all of that was just completely overridden. Yes. Like I felt with the beginning, with the battle at the beginning, with Paul Mescal's, you know, Discount Maximus's wife being killed, like we had no real investment in her and him at all, really. No. Like, you see him for about 2 minutes.
No, I said for 2 seconds. I was like, I don't even, and I'm somebody who can get into things and like if a character's crying, I'm crying. Like I get into it. I felt nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. So already as an audience, we're kind of going, well, okay, right, and the fact that he was so pissed at Pedro Pascal's character. Arcadius, isn't it? Arcadius or something? His name.
Let me check my cheat sheet.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to butcher all the names tonight.
Yes. General Acasis, I believe.
That's it, yeah. So he wants revenge against him. Now, realistically, like I say in the first movie, Maximus's wife and son were innocents. They weren't part of any war. They were picked out by Commodus's people and killed mercilessly. These two, in Gladiator II, are fighting in an army. The Romans turn up, all right, Pedro Pascal's in charge of that army, and they end up killing a load of people. She's one of them. Okay, you're part of an army. People are going to die. If you've got someone in the army you love or you like and they die, well, okay, you know, it's just part of war, isn't it? But we're supposed to have this really kind of visceral, what's the word, this attachment to them, which you get. And they carry the movie on like we're already there. And I didn't give a shit, to be fair. I was like, okay, this is pointless. And to be fair, I felt like a lot of it was, excuse me, was just a retread of the first movie, but in a lesser way.
Yes. Yes. So, my sister said something because when we sat down to watch it, as the minute she came on the screen, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I get it. She gonna die, do it again. Yeah. And my sister said, well, often history repeats itself. If you think about it, I'm like, you know what, you're right. Cycle of violence, that stuff, it does repeat itself. Unfortunately, it was done so well the first time, it's hard to even match it the second time.
No, I agree completely, yeah.
So
I mean, this is what I mean by when I say about sequels. If you're going to do it, you've got to try and best the first one. And I felt like with this, they didn't even try. It felt like they had this was a script that was written 15 years ago.
Mm.
And they're trying to make it fit in now with all the other Gladiator sequels they were writing after the first one came out that never came to. I feel like they took a hodgepodge of those and went, well, we can make it kind of work, and this is what they did.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's true or not, but that's the way it felt. It felt very disjointed, very sort of all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate to be. I'm not going anywhere. But what I am going to do is grab my son off the stairs and put him in his room. He's coming down the stairs.
No
Sorry.
No worries. No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
It's all right. Sorry. Yeah, the other half's out.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
It's all good. It's all good.
So before I hop into tearing some more things I don't like about this movie, I'm gonna put some positive things in that I like about it. There are a couple of lines in here that I like. Like one when Denzel's talking to Lucius, and Lucius, for the first time, Lucius not talking to him, he goes, "Oh, okay, I see. Violence is the universal language." I was like, "Oh, okay, he's about to do some stuff." And then I was like, you know, a smile is also a universal language.
Yeah,
Violence
very true.
And what was the other one? Oh, Lucilla, his mother, when she said, he was, you know, she said, "I'm not afraid, you know, one man or another has had a sword against my neck since the day my father died." And I'm like, you know what? You're right. She's really never known true peace.
No.
Because even when she had her little life with the general, like, she didn't have her son.
No.
She didn't know what happened to him. And I have a question for you. When she sent him away and told him that she would find him, was she lying? Did she know she could never see him again, and she was saying that to comfort him? Or did she try to track him down? Because I'm just like, it was never really, she never explained herself to him, unless I missed it.
But this is the point as well, isn't it? Like, you know, she sends him away to protect him. I never quite understood why, to be fair, but she sent him away. We don't really get filled in with that.
Well, no. I know why she sent him away. I know why. Because he is next in line for emperor, and he's a boy. He's not a man.
Yeah.
Easy to dispatch. Easy to dispatch and get rid of.
I suppose so. Yeah, I get that.
Because even when he was in that village. Pardon?
I said I can see why. I can see that making sense. I just don't know. I feel like it was, I don't know, once again, it just boils down to that thing of it's ham-fisted in because they wanted to make a sequel. I feel like that's, you know, we've got to try and get something out of this. What can we do? Oh, well, the boy, he can be dispatched quickly and easily. Why don't we just, you know, write this in there, get him thrown away to run away to another place, and then we can pick him up later on. I just didn't buy any of it. That's the problem. Like, I was watching it and, you know, like you said, there's some good lines in there. There's some good bits of reasonable bits of dialogue. I just was finding myself thinking, I don't like, you know, a lot of the what's the word? The events that took place, I felt like there were multiple different options that the characters could have took, but they did. I think, like in the first Gladiator, it was very much like the movie established that the characters only did what they did because there was no other option. It was like, this is the only path they can take. Yeah. And the movie did a good job of explaining that to us and with the way they'd set it up. But with this one, I felt like certain characters were doing things that I was like, well, you don't have to do that. You know, you could do it another way. But instead, they decided to not. And I kind of found myself a bit bewildered a lot of the time, to be fair.
So one thing that bothered me is, like, okay, so I love movies and everything, you know, like, and watching the movie through the eye of, like, most of the time, at least the first time I'm watching a movie, I watch it as a writer versus a director. So I'm looking more for the story and the characters than I am of, like, the direction and the camera. And there were a couple of things that bothered me a little bit, because I'm like, one thing you want to make sure is that actions are being earned.
Yes, of course.
And I felt like there were a couple actions in here that I didn't fully understand how they were earned. So first, when he's fighting in the Colosseum against the general, and the general's trying to explain to him and reason with him, which I understand that, but the general giving up and sitting down, and him choosing not to kill him, or at least not even do that thing where like he goes to him like, oh, I'm gonna do it, and he just you look in his eyes and he's just like, and then he demands a question or answer or something, like, or even if he had talked to his mom beforehand, and she had said that, like, I think you did tell your husband, you know, whatever, and I can't remember if she said that. I don't think she did, but you know, like he is literally was under the guise of the Roman army, like he's doing that. He was serving them to keep us alive. Like there was nothing of that kind of made him rethink. Okay, all right, maybe I don't want to kill, or even if the emperor was like, kill him, and he like looked like, you know what, I'm nobody's do boy, I'm not gonna do it. Like it did not have the weight it needed, because it just felt like it wasn't earned. And the other action that bothered me was Ravi, the physician.
I'm not thinking about talking about.
So he was like, he reminded me of the dude from The Mummy, the Brandon Fraser one, because he had the same little tattoo. I was like, yay! So you know, him telling him, hey, here's the ring, go right off to the army to say, you know, whatever for Rome, and and leave me your keys. Okay, they did spark a friendship, but I did not see where he had earned his loyalty or his commitment or his trust. And it was like, should I trust you? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Literally the dialogue. Literally the dialogue. I'm like, there needed to be some moment. There needed to be something that could have expressed to him, oh wow, this man is of honor, of loyalty. Oh my gosh, like this dude, like, even if he had told who he was sooner or something, like, I don't know, but like it just didn't
Well,
like it had so much potential. These little things bothered me.
I feel like, to be fair, like, I think stuff like that, when I see it, I feel like it's almost like the writer is kind of going, or even director's going, but we need to get to this point. So a lot of this, I can imagine, I bet you it was probably butchered in the edit. I think there was probably loads of stuff taken out.
Oh yeah,
and I could put money. Right. You need to get to this point quicker. I mean, what is this? 2 hours 28 minutes. So it's a long film, and probably like, right, well, cut that. He says that line. Oh, that'll be enough, and we'll move on. But unfortunately, audiences like yourself are sitting there going, "What? Doesn't make sense." It's like the whole thing between, like you say, between Lucius and Arcadius when they're fighting in the Colosseum. It's like they have like a kind of conversation in between while they're fighting, which I found almost a bit comical, really, to be fair. I thought that was, I mean, the fight was fine. It was a good fight.
The fight was good. You know what? I said his mom, but you know what? Even if he and Lucius had a conversation the day before, the night before the fight, and he said some things that at least made Lucius think about it. Yeah. And the moment in the fight,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it almost felt like you say, it's not earned. Those moments are not earned. So when he dies, spoiler alert, everyone. But like when Pedro dies, like the way he does, really, we should feel something. But really, you're going, oh, all right, okay, killed him. You know, like, oh, okay, he's dead. But
honestly, I was like, oh well, the arrows look cool going into him.
That's what you have to take away from it, isn't it? Oh, those arrows look good.
Yeah, like even them uncovering the plot and all that stuff. Like, think about the difference in the tension and how it was done when Joaquin Phoenix's character uncovered the plot and literally used the story to threaten his sister. Like oh my God, like I was scared for her.
But that's what I mean. As an audience, we sit there and we can feel that. We can sit there and appreciate, obviously, the level of the acting, the quality of the writing, how it's depicted to us. We can feel it. In this one, it's very much like, oh, okay. We've got, that happened. But the problem is, but once again, this is going back to what I said earlier, I feel like it's because it's such a retread of the first movie that we could all kind of see what was coming. Like, the death at the beginning with his wife. Then obviously Denzel Washington basically being Proximo from the first one, right? Oliver Reed's character.
Yeah.
That's who he was essentially, with a little bit of a difference to him, but that's who he was. Yeah. And then obviously, I mean, I felt like there was two Maximuses in this movie. I felt like Pedro Pascal and Paul Mescal were both substitutes for Maximus.
Yeah.
Because at one point, Pedro, excuse me, and his wife, Lucius's mum, are plotting to take over from the Emperors. Mm-hmm. Exactly what Maximus was doing in the first one when he was a gladiator. They were plotting to try and overthrow them with Derek Jacobi, but I can't remember his name. Old white-haired dude with a beard. But yeah, he was. They brought him back and killed him, which drove me insane as well. I didn't like that. That frustrated me.
Yeah, same.
Sorry. What was his name?
No, I was agreeing.
Oh, right, no, I thought you said his name. Yeah, no, Derek. Character.
I think it's Gracious. Gracious.
Oh,
Gracious.
Gracchus. Yeah.
Gracchus.
Yeah. Well, he was, obviously in the first one, he had a massive part in that one. He was part of the conspiracy, and he was helping between the two.
Yeah. And he was just thrown in.
Yeah, this one, it was like, oh, look, do you remember him from the first one?
Yeah, here you go. You like that?
Yeah. Remember berries. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
Very little ones. And then he gets killed. And I was like, oh, for Christ's sake, like, you know.
He served, like, no purpose.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. I feel like it was really cheap to do. And it frustrates. If you're going to bring back characters from the original movie for your sequel, give them something to do. I mean, Connie Nielsen, who's obviously Lucius's mum, like, she's great. Like, she's a good actress. She knows what she's doing. In the first movie, she was fantastic and, you know, still easy on the eye, you know, getting on however old she is now, but she looks freaking great.
Yeah.
But even so, she puts in what she can in the performance. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's not. But it also felt really vacuous. Like, you know, Paul Mescal, I mean, he had, like, at one point, he hated his mum. He hates his mum in a part of it. And no more than, I think it was a scene later, he wants to save her and love her. And I thought, what happened?
Do you see what I'm talking about? Yeah. These actions that are not earned. There's nothing.
Yeah. It was almost
like a flashback to a memory that made him, and they made him think, you know what, you know, or an item or something, some proof that she never left him, never forgot him.
100%. Like, but I tell you what, though, we need to touch upon that, the flashback stuff, and I don't just mean the flashback stuff they put in for this movie. I mean all the stuff they put in from the first film. So all those scenes where you saw Russell Crowe's Maximus, you saw Commodus, or you saw something along those lines. So irritating.
Okay. So when I started watching this movie, the opening credits where they did a retread of the first movie, like in watercolor, was very creative. It was very. I liked that. I'm like, cool. Thanks. Thanks for that. We're good now. I didn't know they were going to continue to do it in other ways. I thought that's what the beginning was for.
The beginning, but you're right. That part, when they did that, you know, it was okay. But to be fair, the second I saw it, in my head, I instantly thought, oh, I'm not going to like this. Because it was almost like they went, right, guys, once again, remember the first one?
Last time,
remember what happened
on Gladiator.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a previously on Gladiator. And they did that, and I thought, oh, here we go. Right, this should be interesting. And you know what? I sort of tried to give it its, you know, okay, that's what they've done. That's the direction they decided to go.
Yeah.
And they kind of kept doing it. And that was the really frustrating element of it, is they just kept doing it. Like, it happened later on when you saw the fight between Maximus and Lucius again in the Colosseum.
When he when he sticks his sword in the ground, I'm like, okay, do you honestly think Ridley Scott,
Yeah.
that the people watching this movie have not already seen the first Gladiator at least 10 times. We know where it's from. You don't have to do the callback. You don't.
Yeah. So much of that. And, you know, excuse me, yeah, it was like when Paul Mescal, say, bends down and does the dirt. Like, why does he do that? Like, Maximus did it, which, you know, in that movie makes sense. But it's like, oh, he's his son. He's going to do the things that he does. And if he said strength and honour once, he said it about 100 times. Strength and honour. Strength and honour. And I'll be honest, it was getting to me after a while. I thought, like, stop using so much from the first movie. If you've got an original story to tell it. But it just felt so vacuous. It felt like such a sort of cheap thing to do.
They relied so much on the first one, and honestly, they didn't need to.
No.
There was enough here. There was enough here for it to be on its own. There was.
Yeah.
They just needed to kind of cultivate it some more, but there was definitely enough here. They did have it. They had it. And it just, like, so remind me, because that I can't remember. In the first movie, we find out that he is Lucius's Maximus' son. Or is it...
This is the other point that I got a bit frustrated with, is that it's not actually said. It's implied, which is, you know, I think it was. I can't remember an exact line, but you know, there were moments in it where you felt that they had a relationship before, like Connie Nielsen and Russell Crowe had a relationship.
Yeah.
And you kind of, but there was no kind of out and out, oh, this is your son, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think as an audience kind of went, oh, I wonder if he's that son.
You know what? I was okay with that mystique and mystery. I think it was a good, like, little teaser throughout the movie. I loved it. I loved it. And I could understand her not revealing it to him, especially with him already having his all other family. You know what I mean? Like, there was a grace and honor to her as a character as well. He wouldn't just dump that on him, you know. So I totally get that.
But then that goes back to what we said before about the first movie, is that it's all very much like less is more. You know, that showed in the quality of the writing, is that they're writing things that we as the audience can go, do you know what? I wonder if, maybe that. So, but then we make up our own mind. It gives the audience something to actually sort of like chew on, metaphorically, you know.
Yeah.
Where rather than being told, just constantly told, like this movie. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was so many parts in this film where you kind of like, oh, he's Maximus' son. Oh, okay, yeah. And then later on, they'd reference it again. And you're like, right, hey, we get it.
Honestly, you know what would have been more impactful and powerful? If he already suspected it. You know what I'm saying? If he already suspected it, and there was one moment where it was confirmed, and then nothing was said about it until the very end, where he said, "Go to the army. Who shall I say is coming? Lucius, Aurelius, Maximus' son." Like, then do you see the difference? Like how it would just like,
because then that would have been that could have been a scene to even rival the first movie when he says turns around and says, "I'm Maximus Decimus Meridius." You could have had something like that in this movie, the mystique of it all. But instead, they filmed all these flashbacks, you know, and using bits from the first movie just to tell the audience in no uncertain terms that, oh, by the way, he's Maximus' son. He's going to put the armor on later. I mean, they showed a lot of it in the trailer, to be fair.
Okay, you know what? That pisses me off. Oh,
yeah, no, I totally agree. I 100% agree.
Like, I know you're trying to get people's interest in the movie, but you're giving too much away. Too much. It pisses me off because I like the old trailers where they would leave some of the mystery. Where you,
I mean, it was called teasers for a reason.
They don't do that no more.
A teaser trailer, you know.
Yeah.
But now we get a teaser trailer, and we get a full trailer, and then we get an official trailer.
Yeah.
Or before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
If
disappointing. I
it's a
mean,
movie that I already know that I'm already interested in, I'll only watch the teaser trailer. I don't need to see.
I,
I won't watch the
try
other
as much
two.
as I
I
can.
won't.
Yeah,
Unless
no,
I
I
have to
totally
do a trailer
agree.
reaction for my channel, that's different. But other
Yeah.
than that, like I try not to. I'm
One of my
still
big
pissed.
pet
Huh?
peeves about trailers is not only do you get the trailer, but you get the pre-trailer before the trailer starts. Have you seen those? Where it's like they
No.
show you a load of bit of action, then go trailer starts
Oh,
now, and you're like,
oh, yeah, yes,
why?
yes, yes,
Oh
yes.
God, I love it. Isn't it? Shocking.
What we did? Okay, so I'm gonna. All right, one sequel that I think is one of the best sequels of all time that
All right.
properly brought more to the table, expanded on the story and the
Mm,
lore, and really like
mhm.
upped the stakes and everything was Terminator 2.
Oh, I was about to say, I'll stop you there. I bet I can guess. And I was going to say Terminator 2. Yeah, yeah. I can predict that. Yeah, because he's one of, if not the best sequel. Actually, tell a lie. Aliens.
Oh,
Both James
so
Cameron.
so I will give you Aliens, but my top number one favorite movie of all time will always be
Terminator.
Terminator 2. Always.
Oh,
But Aliens, oh, ooh, yeah,
yeah. But once
yeah,
again, James Cameron.
yes,
James Cameron steps in to do a sequel. Bang. I
bang.
mean, we won't talk about Avatar too much. But aside from that, Terminator 2.
That's a different beast. That's a different beast.
100%. Yeah, that's for another
Yes,
conversation another time.
yes.
Um, yeah, no, Terminator 2. Yeah, without a doubt, one of the best sequels ever made, ever. Fantastic. I'm a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, so
And it still holds up to today.
Yeah, you can still put it on today. You'll get a lot out of it. Yeah.
And at some points, to be perfectly honest with you, the visual effects look better than the stuff that I'm seeing. I'm like,
Yeah. 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 How is that possible? Greed, wastes of money, not giving people enough time to do their jobs.
all right, you know what? I'm so glad you brought that up because that's another issue that I have. So studios go on a gamble, right, on $20-30 million properties because they want the big haul. Like, let's go major blockbuster. So we're going to drop $250 million on this CGI ginormous beast when they could have legitimately probably done at this point 8 to 10 smaller movies.
Yeah.
And still raked in something better. It's.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, but this is what you were talking about earlier about risk.
Yeah.
What we were saying is
Yeah.
you take one Marvel movie or even this movie Gladiator 2,
Mm-hmm.
and you break down into at least 4 or 5 smaller budget movies, different independent directors, completely different stories, whatever they want to do, and then put them out and see what lands.
Yeah.
But because, like we were saying earlier, because of the risk factor these days, and they don't like to take the risks for. And I appreciate one reason or another when it comes to DVD sales and ticket. I mean, ticket sales at cinemas are a nightmare anyway. But it's because of that risk they won't take is why we don't get why you don't get your Goodwill Huntings anymore and things like that. Which are actors' bread and butter of those sort of movies. But yeah, unfortunately, we're just going to get lumbered with more of this sort of stuff. $200-300 million movies, and it becomes quite vacuous after a while. And you kind of lose your faith in stuff until you see something come out that actually gives you a kind of real, Jesus Christ, I remember why I like movies.
Yeah. Okay. Believe it or not, one movie that I watched last year, I watched it 5 times.
All right. Okay.
I watched it on my own, I think 3 times, and then with my friend and then my sister, because that's how much I love it. Was Blink Twice with Channing Tatum.
I haven't seen that film, to be fair. I've not watched it. I missed that one when it came out.
No worries. I don't catch every movie. Trust me.
Yeah, no,
I don't.
So much.
There's so much. It's impossible. It's impossible.
That's what I can.
But it was it's not a low budget movie, but it's not a Gladiator budget movie. You know what I mean? So it's reasonable,
yeah.
and it's got, I think it's technically got 1 or 2 central locations, and it's just the story, the characters, the twist, because it's like a thriller, it's like a mystery, the symbolism, what colors mean, just the way it's done, and you're just like, it's like this puzzle piece you're putting together, because you're like, wait, hold on, why are you showing me that? I'm getting a flash of that. Yeah. And then when you get to the end, you're like, oh my gosh, and you backtrack, and you're like, all this is coming to place. Like, it's such a good, if you're looking for a good thriller, that was it. And Channing Tatum, Magic Mike, did a good job. Yeah. Okay? like, I mean, he's already proven to me that he's a good actor beyond, Magic Mike, obviously.
Yeah. He's not exactly known for his smack roles.
He's even elevated even more in this movie, and stretched his skills and versatility even more. So I recommend Blink Twice. And it was directed by Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz, yes.
Yes, I mean, it's good. Because I want to say the first 30 minutes, the whole build and everything, you're like, okay. Like, you think, okay, this is like a... what can I say without giving too much away? Like, you're kind of like, all right, this is just a chill, having fun type of thing. All right, what's going on? And it's done so well that, like, when you finish watching it, you realize the first half an hour of all the fun things, the flags, they were all there in front of you. You didn't even see them. Like, it's so good. Okay, enough of that. Hard recommend.
You really like that one.
So, regarding the brothers, I think it's Caracalla and Gita. So I think they were good villains, but again, Joaquin Phoenix, like, he set the bar so high. It's impossible, but he did a good job. Now, Gita talked about his brother, when the uprising started happening, because they killed the hero, and were surprised when the people were like, that's how much the power got to their head, because they were like, oh, we're going to kill the guy everyone loves more than us. Yeah. And they were being stressed. And, Caracalla, I hope I'm saying it correctly, he spoke out of turn, and Gita's like, oh, go, blah, blah, blah. He tells Denzel that, forgive my brother's outburst, his sickness in his loins has reached his brain. And I was sitting here going, so he got syphilis, maybe? Because I was trying to figure out what he had.
That's exactly what it was, yeah. Syphilis is what caused his brain.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was thinking, back in those days, what disease that started down there could affect the brain? I was like, oh, in the loins. Yeah. Syphilis. That'll do it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, which is why he was mentally ill. But they were good. They were good for what they served in the movie. Like, they did a good job. I think what's his bloody name?
Joseph Quinn. Yeah,
Joseph Quinn. Yeah, I like him. I think he's a good actor. I think he's brilliant. I loved him in Stranger Things. I'm looking forward to seeing him as Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four. Yeah. But unfortunately, actors are only as good as their writers. They're only as intelligent. The character is as intelligent as the writer. And unfortunately, yeah. And I think, once again, like you said a minute ago about Commodus, we talked about this earlier. Like, he was so established, and he was so well written, and these guys are already there. They're crazy. They're unpredictable. That's it. That's all you really get. You don't really get a lot of reason to hate them, if anything. I mean, they do a couple of things where you sort of kind of go, that's a bit off.
Yeah. But you're right. I don't have a visceral reaction to them.
No, not at all. Because to be honest with you, they're kind of non-entities. Like, they crop up when the story needs them to, but they're not someone for us to go, oh, they need to die. They need to die. Like, they're not. That's not it. That's not them. Yeah. So realistically, they don't really serve much of a purpose. So when one of them is dispatched by Denzel, you kind of go, oh, okay, one's dead. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going, oh, yeah, God, you know, like, die, you know. I'm kind of just sat there thinking, all right, he's killed one. Okay, so the mentally ill one, he's left. Okay.
Right. Now,
And he
I
makes
will say,
that little monkey puppies thing.
I will say, I did like when, you know, Gita is like, help me, and then Denzel, without missing a beat, like,
Mm.
I'm like, okay.
Oh, he just went full American gangster.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly. It's exactly what he did.
Yes.
Switched it on.
Yes. And the way he killed the brother with and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that was like the
go on.
kills themselves
Yeah.
was awesome. But you're right, like the weight of the scene and everything didn't hit. But the kills were awesome. I will say that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think this is what we said earlier about Ridley Scott. Though Ridley Scott can really, what he sees in a shot.
Yes.
That's why he has cameras going at once. He's like, right, this is what I want to see. This is what I want it to be, and that's what he does. And they are all really good.
Yeah.
Fight sequences. Like I say, the kills themselves were pretty decent. I will say, my only real sort of the two massive disappointments actually when it comes to set piece action in Gladiator. I mean, all right, I will say. I said I didn't like the baboons fighting, but at least the sequence was pretty good. It was a pretty good fight sequence in that little whatever. But the first fight, the very opening fight, where you've got Paul Mescal, his wife, and the rest of I'm assuming the Persians in their castle. Now, the way I believe it to be is that the Roman army had already. So I think they mentioned in the movie in the beginning, they say that they've already taken most of the land in Persia.
But they wanted Persia and they wanted India next.
Yeah. So they've got most of the land around it. It's just this part left. So I'll kind of make me wonder why they decided to attack it by the ocean. Because it felt like, well, if you've got most of the land around it, I don't know about you, but like I'm not a military guy, but like going up against big scale walls, I feel like maybe coming from land might have been a better option. So, but at the same time, you know, aside from that, I felt like, but it was also what my bigger point to it was the fact that it was incredibly contained the way it was filmed. Look at the original Gladiator when they've got the barbarians and the Romans, and they collide in that open air in the forest. It's visceral, it's epic, it's bloody.
You're right.
Choreographed into its life. This one felt really kind of like minuscule. And I don't know why. I'm not quite sure why. For an opening fight battle scene, sorry.
So you know what? You're right. Like you're right because like you voiced what I was feeling. I just couldn't have a thought too. I was like, you know, I wasn't sure what it was about the beginning, but now that you voiced it, I'm like, yeah, they're in this little island over here. Like I get the ego of the emperor wanting to rule everything, but this did not feel like a big enough piece of land to fight for.
Yeah.
If anything, it felt like they would go to handle Persia and India first, then come holler back at this little place. Like you're right. It felt like it was very tiny, contained. You're right.
It's very unusual. But like I say, the way it was shot in general, like, I felt like it was a bit. It just felt strange. It felt really odd. Like I wanted to see some scale. You see one. I think it's one shot, maybe two shots of them sort of coming around, seeing them hit the walls, and then we're back in really close.
Yeah.
And I thought, blood, why? Like, keep it out. Show us some scale. Show us what's going on. But it was all very much like on the wall. Fighting. Yeah. She got, I mean, to be fair, you know, and then this is when the story just gets silly. Like, Paul Mescal's got his back to two Roman centurions and they hit him in the back of the head and he falls off, he throw him off the wall, which I thought, stab him. You want to kill him, you know?
I'm so glad. We were thinking the same thing. I understand him being distracted in the moment by the death of his woman. I understand that. I could totally see someone sneaking up on me. I'm totally entranced by what I'm seeing. If I'm one of them Roman dudes, I'm like, let me make light work of this dude real quick. Slash, done.
Yeah.
He wasn't even.
But you know the problem, though? I personally think those because those Roman centurions, they'd read the script and they thought, we can't kill him. We'll have to knock him out and throw him over. Yeah. It felt, I mean, obviously, we know as the audience, right, he's the lead guy, but it just felt like there could have been a better way of getting him into the scenario they wanted him in. So they want to put him into slavery, they wanted to take him into there and be a gladiator, fine. But like, don't as an audience make us go, well, of course they're going to knock him out. Why would they knock him out?
It would have made more sense if they were about to hit him and then one of the other people from history like jumped in front and got stabbed and they both fell over. Like that, like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is the problem. So when you watch these movies, we don't want to feel like this when we watch them. You sit there and go, oh, that's frustrating. Why did they do that?
Yeah.
But you kind of get the benefit of the doubt because obviously the director's got a vision. They want to do something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move through the story and you go, okay, well, why did they do that? Or why did they do, you know, there's too many of these why did they do this moments that you kind of think, what am I watching after a while? Like, I don't really know. I mean, Denzel, like as we said at the beginning of this, was the most captivating character.
Yeah.
His motivations in that film kind of switched when he kind of, like, he'd seen Paul Mescal and thought, this is someone I can use.
Yeah.
And I don't say this though, the fact that it's Denzel Washington, I think should have tipped us off as an audience, which it pretty much did, that he was going to be a bit of a sod by the end. Because there's no way they're going to cast him and just be this kind of nice guy who's going to have, you know, oh, I've got gladiators and I'm going to try and say, you know, he's Denzel Washington. He's going to have a bigger role. So when he started to get to the point where he turning on people and, you know, using stuff against them and manipulating things, like, okay,
when he had that dude gamble out his house, I was like, now see, that's the kind of chess move pieces. I'm like, we should have had more of that. That would have been great. More of that.
Yes, 100%. Like if we'd have got more kind of like you say, like that sort of moving the chess pieces, you know, seeing him do something over on one side and then actually following what he's doing, then we could have got more. But it was always just like a scene. There's the scene.
Yes. Like even him turning the brothers against each other. Yes. Like even him turning the brothers against each other was great, but it was like, you're right, it was like a quick scene.
Yeah.
If we had a buildup of it, he's whispering over time. Yeah. He's sowing seeds of doubt. He's doing like we needed less.
Right.
And then I thought it was funny because I'm like, you introduced so many characters that you're like, oh man, we got too many people. We got to start killing people off.
But that's the point. That's what I mean. Like when you're watching it, like we said with the first one, you know, and you just said there, like you build it up, you build up the tension so that something comes and something happens. Whereas this movie was like, we're going to kill off the emperors, and they're gone. Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're going to kill this person. Oh, they're gone. Oh, we're going to kill Pedro. He's gone. And it was like, where's the build?
The build up.
Oh, substance.
Wait, let me see. It was one other thing that I was like trying to understand. What was it? Dang it. Dang. It was one of those things where like the actions, I was like, oh, okay. I kind of wasn't getting it. I think it had something to do with him, but it escapes me now. Maybe it'll come later when we're offline. But like it just. Oh, I got it. When Denzel came to Lucius after the general was killed, he goes, "I served them up to you.
Yeah.
Why you didn't kill me?" And he's like, you bought a gladiator, not a slave." Cool line. And then he's like, "You'll be my instrument." "No, I won't. I will see your end." And I was like, at that point, I was like, technically, what had Denzel Washington's character done for you to want to see his end? He wasn't the one that killed your girl.
Mm.
He he did what you wanted. He got you the general. You changed your mind. Cool. And at this point, spoiler alert, he hadn't killed your mom yet. So where was this line coming from? Like, I didn't understand it.
Yeah, you're 100%.
He didn't treat you bad. Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
This is the thing with this movie, is that for some reason with Paul Mescal, they did not know what to do with him. Like he wanted the general. That was the initial thing, obviously, that we saw in the trailers and then we saw in the movie. He wants to kill the general. The general killed his wife. Well, technically, he didn't actually kill the wife, but okay, but whatever. Technicality, you know, it was his men that did it. But they were in a war, so okay. I don't think he deserved that amount of revenge, but okay.
Russell Crowe didn't hunt down the soldiers that actually killed his wife, right?
No, yeah, exactly, yeah. But my point being is, like, so he wants Pedro Pascal, right? So we're going to go after him. So by the time he finally gets there, and then all of a sudden they have that little moment where they're going, okay, well, maybe he's not so bad, and he doesn't kill him. Obviously, Denzel says to him, "Why didn't you kill him?" Da, 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 da. He's got a vendetta against his mum to start, also for letting him go. But that switched on a dime. Pascal switched on a dime. Then all of a sudden he wants Denzel. It was like, what was his real motivation, like, in that movie? Realistically, when you're watching Paul Mescal's lead character, what did he want? What did he want? No one fucking knows what he wanted. By the time you get to the end,
he wanted to cross the river with his girl, and he didn't even get to do that.
He didn't even get to do that by the end, did he?
The movie just ended. I was like, wait, that's it?
Yeah. Shocking. Okay. Shocking. I mean, to be honest with you as well, like, that ending with the fight, like, you couldn't have. I mean, I know people say, don't compare the two movies, don't compare Gladiator to Gladiator II. Gladiator II.
They started it. They brought in all the Gladiator 1 stuff. They started it.
Totally agree. The second you start incorporating everything from Gladiator 1, then we're going to make comparisons. So if you look at the final fight sequence between Maximus and Commodus, stakes are there. We have witnessed these two people across the whole movie. We know why they want to kill each other, and it was epic, and it was brilliantly done. This one, Paul Mescal didn't even want to kill Denzel until, like you just said, the last act of the movie. So when you see them, not to mention as well, without being disrespectful to Denzel, I mean, the man's like 65 plus fighting Paul Mescal, who's 28. It was like, it's a complete mismatch of two
I'm so glad you said that, because I was like, Denzel's my dog, but in this movie, he's not the equalizer. Okay, he's not. And like he wasn't even but I don't know if he was a former gladiator or not. I don't think so, but I can't remember.
I think the story tried to portray him as someone who had been a gladiator and potentially won their freedom, but once again, it's not established, it's not told, it's just we just have to assume that he was.
And then the first one, Joaquin Phoenix is a spoiled ruler. How could he have overpowered Russell Crowe? Oh, he was poisoned. That made sense. That they found a way to make that fight work and make sense. You tell me Denzel overpowered my dude who fighting like big grown men and freaking baboons?
Exactly, yeah. This is what I mean. You look at a guy who kills for a living, essentially, in, the Colosseum and all that, against Denzel Washington in his robe.
Look.
It was
fight against the general, and the general getting a hold of him. That makes sense. That makes sense. We're talking about a general who is older, but he is seasoned and he's in war and he's active.
Yeah,
he's got the strategy, the skill. That makes complete sense.
Yep. It was
I just like.
I don't get it. I don't get it. It frustrates me.
But other than everything we just talked about, I like the movie. Oh my goodness!
I really didn't like that movie. Do you know, I gave it a 5 out of 10, and that was down to majority of the cinematography and the way it was direct, like the direction of like the way it looked. I thought most of it was really good. Like, he's so good at that sort of period of making things look aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
It's just.
I think I gave it a 6 out of 10. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I gave it a little bit higher. But I'm a little bit more forgiving.
Oh yeah, I can't. I'm not forgiving at all. No.
You remind me of Luke.
I can't do it. It's not nature. I try to. When they do things like this, I've got no sympathy for them because, like, you know, you spend all that much money on a movie. I mean, all right. I mean, it did, box office wise, it didn't do too bad. I think it made, what was that, 461 million worldwide, but on a budget of the 300 million that they're willing to tell us.
And not even counting marketing. There's a marketing.
You had at least 10 million on top for that, or at least 20 million. So they didn't make a lot of money.
Probably more. I mean, there's a freaking Super Bowl spot alone.
Yeah.
I think it's almost that cost.
Yeah.
All right. So, as we are winding down this awesome conversation, which I very much enjoyed.
Thank you.
I try, not all the time, but I try to have like a poll question that aligns with the movie that I put out on, YouTube and Instagram. And my question that I did was, which animal would you like to be in the Coliseum?
What animal would you like to be?
Yeah. Rhino, tiger, baboon, or shark?
What one would I like to be in there with?
If you had to choose.
If I had to choose. Well, if I had to choose, I mean, as ridiculous as it was, I would pick the shark because I'd stay on the boat. I'd be fine.
But they had archers. They were finding ways to get you out of the boat.
Yeah.
So
I suppose.
Let me see. I think I picked rhino.
A rhino, right? Okay.
Yeah. So first of all,
did you pick a normal rhino or a really bad CGI rhino? Well,
both.
Right, okay.
So
just checking.
Because here's how I see it. Tigers and lions, like, they'll eat you while you're still alive.
Yeah.
Baboons and monkeys.
Truth be told, they don't. Lions and tigers will break your neck.
You're right.
And
you're right. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking of hyenas. But yes.
Bears will eat you alive.
Oh God, yes. So yeah,
my son's lions, I'm
still gonna go with rhino. I don't like the idea of being eaten.
Definitely not.
And then baboons and like monkeys, like they'll bite up your fingers. They'll bite up your they'll attack parts of you before you even are ended. Yeah. I'm like, I don't need that. Yeah. And then a shark is nah. I don't want to be in water. No, thank you. I don't know. No. Yes.
I get the rhino. At least you can play.
So, any final thoughts on Gladiator II, Lee?
Gladiator II. I put Gladiator II in the same category I put Joker, Folie à Deux. Why, and why? They weren't good movies. They weren't received well. They were absolute trash. And it's such a shame that these original movies have to be tainted by their terrible sequels. Gladiator II will go down as a mediocre sequel in the long line, of mediocre sequels throughout history. I can't see it about it in 20 years' time. Yeah. And I feel like they had some good ideas here, and if they had just leaned away from the first one and the reliance of the first one and taken the time to flesh out more of these characters, more of these motives, let things build, I believe this would have been a worthy sequel. I don't think it could have ever reached the first Gladiator because it's such a good, perfect film, but it would have been a worthy sequel that you could like enjoy. And I just feel like I think we called it something completely different, and made it a completely different movie and not a sequel, and it would have been good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. They could have treated it like they could have called it the Gladiator or something, and it not really be aligned with that, or at least be like 100 years later or something. I don't know, something like it just.
It's in the same world.
Yeah.
But a completely different story. In a different part of the world.
Different part of the world. Yeah. They had it. They had
MCU of Gladiator.
The Gladiator universe. The Gladiator universe.
Can you imagine?
Thank you so much, Lee, for coming on. Guys, be sure to follow Tall Man Reviews. I enjoyed our conversation, and I hope that you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, of course.
And I would love to have another one in the future. I'd love to have you come back on again.
Yeah. I mean, I did the Captain America yesterday, so if you ever want to talk about that one.
No. Ooh, okay. The way you're looking at me, I'm like, oh, geez. Oh, geez. Oh, geez. I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen it yet.
Don't know what to tell you, really.
Not the breathing. Not the breathing.
Oh, no. Well, if you want to see it, it's up to you. Oh. All
right.
I don't know.
We'll
discuss that another time.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for coming on again. Thank you guys for your support. And I will check you guys next week for another Hot Take Tuesday Live on a Wednesday.
Thank you, man.
Bye.